Hello, have you all join us? It's a very count in Lagos, Nigeria, particularly from Ota here. So thank you for joining. I can see Sarah, see Idowu Okonkwo. Thank you. Onojite Olatu. Thank you for joining. Ayodele, it's good to have everyone. Thank you very much. Have us. And shortly on my design, my humble self being that form of just design. From to learn, share, and we a world where collaboration, a catalyst for innovation. On this platform, our mission is very democratize design. Design in many, both design learning and architecture, graphics design, in any kind of way. Is to democratize design in specific. Okay, is to we democratize design for so this platform is all okay, persons who designers but the love design you all right also which is in is to democratize for designers. Design we could be at times, and so what we do here is um, from different disciplines. Like today, with me is an interior designer in tech, and so the idea different dimensions to and so that's what we do, and we hope that support your design journey by having the knowledge designers. And so hey, I'm not the I'm not the speaker. Maybe someday I also own design journey. But today we have Olatunbode will be our speaker today. The voice you will hear now will be the promi. And so that will be coming up. Thank you very much. I remain your humble host. Thank you very much.
Tomi is a workplace design expert and the creative director of Spazio Ideala, an interior design firm that focuses on connecting people to spaces through exceptional design and excellent execution. She is regarded as Africa's female tech interior designer, as her company, Spazio Ideala, has delivered exceptional spaces for Africa's most recognized tech startups including Paystack, Kuda, ULesson, and Softcom, among a longer list of non-tech clients. Tomi has a background in technology via a bachelor's degree in computer science from Covenant University and holds a Master of Interior Design degree from Florence Design Academy, Italy. Prior to founding Spazio Ideala, she worked at Allied Soft, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and Ericsson. Tomi is a growing talent and has been recognized as a leading light in space design in Nigeria. Please let's welcome Tomi. Tomi is a workplace design expert and the creative director of Spazio Ideala, an interior design firm that focuses on connecting people to spaces through exceptional design and excellent execution. She is regarded as Africa's female tech interior designer, as her company, Spazio Ideala, has delivered exceptional spaces for Africa's most recognized tech startups including Paystack, Kuda, ULesson, and Softcom, among a longer list of non-tech clients. Tomi has a background in technology via a bachelor's degree in computer science from Covenant University and holds a Master of Interior Design degree from Florence Design Academy, Italy. Prior to founding Spazio Ideala, she worked at Allied Soft, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and Ericsson. Tomi is a growing talent and has been recognized as a leading light in space design in Nigeria. Please let's welcome Tomi.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm not sure if y'all can hear me, but hi and good evening. I'll be sharing my screen and then we can go ahead. First of all, thank you everyone for making out time. I know it's the weekend and you're taking out time to join us and hear this story and hopefully learn a thing or two. So I do not take that for granted and thank you. If you guys can just say hi on the chat box, that would be good so that I know that I'm talking to someone and I'm not just talking to myself. That would be good. I'll like if the entire presentation is interactive. So that would be great if I could just get a hi from you guys. But that said, I will share my screen and we will just move on. Please just give me a moment. Okay, great. Sorry. Hi, good evening, Gideon Wise. It's great to have you here. Good evening. I actually just started seeing your messages for some reason. However, I will just quickly share my screen and then we can just get right into it. Okay, perfect. Okay, just to confirm that everyone can see my screen and it's clear. That said, we'll just move ahead. So today we're talking about my design journey. I would like it to be quite interactive, so I'll just be, hopefully the moderators will be able to get your questions across to me as the entire session progresses. But prior to that, we'll just have a chat. So I'm not a lecturer and I don't like this sort of lecture sort of situations. So it will be good if I do get feedback from everyone as I'm talking and we could make it a conversation. I think that will be much more fun and need to be more interactive. Before we go on, I'm Tomi. Tomi Olatunbode is my name. I am the creative director of Spatio Ideali. Spatio Ideali is an interior design firm. You've heard all of that gibberish earlier when the video was playing. I'd like to talk a little bit about myself. I'm an introvert, if you don't know, or if you haven't guessed till now, but I'm introverted. I'm married. Olatunbode is my married name. I've been married for 5 years. I play tennis. I like reading, and I'm an ideas person. So that's me in a nutshell. And I'm also a business person. In terms of Spatio Ideali, I started Spatio Ideali. It's an interior design firm. You can read about us, obviously, on our website, which is www.spatioideali.com, or just Google Spatio Ideali, and then you'd find everything on it. And yes, the right pronunciation is Spatio Ideali, so that's clear. That's that. So today we're talking about my design journey, and I'm hoping that it inspires someone not just in design, whether you're in design or out of design, whether you're in interior design or architecture, but that this entire session inspires someone to take the leap. I think that's the right way to put it, to just take the leap. And I'll just give um, a short presentation in terms of how I started this journey, where we are and where we do hope to be. So that's that. But as I do talk, if you do have any questions, it'll be great if you actually do put the questions on the chat box so that I could answer them over time. I'm open to having questions. And like I said, I do hope you learn a thing or two from this entire interaction. So when I first got the invite for this program or this webinar, I first when I saw it was just design, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then obviously the first thing you should do, anyone should do, is see, oh, what is the program about? What are they trying to achieve? Who have been the previous speakers? And I noticed, oh wow, all the previous speakers are architects. And I'm like, that's quite interesting. But then it struck me that this is actually just design, right? And that's true to the mission and the objective of the program, which is talking about design. So whether it's architecture or interior design or graphic design or product design or anything that has to do with design, because design is literally all around us. This talks to that. And that I found interesting. And very interesting because with the few previous speakers being architects and me being in sort of the built environment industry, that's interior design, closely related to architecture, it's interesting that I'm not an architect. So yes, let's get out of the way. I did not study architecture. I know quite a lot of people on here will or might be architects. I did not study architecture. We'll get that down in me talking about my design journey. However, for today, thinking through how to present this design journey to you, and hopefully you learn a thing or two, like I said, I decided to break down my entire journey into two parts, which is connecting the dots and it takes a village. Some images would show, obviously, during the entire talk. Those are projects that we've delivered at Spati Diali. And yes, I use the word we because Spati Diali is an organization filled with a team. So it's not a one-man person, it's a team of people. And I think I have some of the Spati Diali team members on this webinar. Please, if you are here, please just say hi and just say Team Spazio. But yes, it does take a village to achieve anything. And when we talk about stories, I want us to remember a very profound phrase from Steve Jobs, which is connecting the dots, and that you can only connect the dots backwards. And I'll be basing my story on Steve Jobs, that principle or that phrase that you mentioned, which is you can only connect the dots backwards. So I would like to just say this shortly before we move on, which is so I know we have different people on here, and everyone at some point in life, right, will get to a point, even myself, even as we go all in the journey of life, we'll get to a point where we are either confused about what path to take, what to do, why we are where we are. So for example, you may either be studying or you're working somewhere, whatever it is you're doing, you might be confused, or you'll get to a point where you're wondering, what's the next step? What's the next thing for me to do? What do I do next? How do I navigate this path as either as a student or as a designer or whatever it is? And just to put it out there, you're not alone in this, right? Everyone literally has to navigate that part where, why am I here? What am I doing? How do I move from this level that I am to the next? And sometimes you don't understand the reason why we are at the point where we are, or why life deals us the cards that they deal us. But you'd only fully understand when you look backwards, and that's what connecting the dots is. And I would explain this using my story. Like I said, taking the elephant out of the room, I did not study architecture. When I was done with secondary school, my parents thought it was best for me to study computer science. And that was because from secondary school, I was best student in computer science, even though all they were teaching us then was just Word, Corel Draw, etc. For some reason, they just thought, oh, since you're best student in computer science, you study computer science. The funny thing is, you enter school and you realize that it is not Corel Draw you're going to be doing in computer science. You probably have to program C# or Java and Python, what have you, and it's a different ball game. But I wanted to study architecture, like I said, in secondary school. My second best subject was technical drawing, but because my best subject was computer science, and for some of my parents was like, okay, it's the internet age, and computers are going to be like next thing. That's like the next path to follow. When other parents were saying, oh, go and be a doctor, go and be a lawyer, my parents were like, go and do computer science, right? And the Bible says, obey your parents. So you obey your parents. And I did computer science. And it was a good time. I enjoyed it in school. It was obviously different from what I was doing in secondary school, but I did enjoy it. And after I was done with school, I decided I worked in the industry. And if you had asked me then when I was in secondary school, when I was in university, if I was going to be an interior designer, I probably would have thought no, right? Even though I knew that I liked architecture, I liked design, I liked all of that, it didn't seem like a path because I'd already chosen a path which was computer science, right? Even though the passion was there, and I found myself doing some things within the built environment as a design environment. So during my holidays, I probably work with my friend's aunt. I think she's on here, Idowo Okonkwo. Our aunt, our senior sister actually is an interior designer, and I'll just there's nothing I'm doing, so let me just go and work with her. Even though I was doing that, it never occurred to me, to be honest, that I would end up being an interior designer, right? I thought, okay, I'll finish school, work in computer science, be a tech professional, and move on. And that was the path I thought I was going to do. Like I said, life cards. And so started working, was mentioned before, worked at Allied Soft, worked at the stock exchange as a system analyst, worked at Ericsson. And to be honest, my parents were correct, because if we look at the trend now, everybody wants to be a tech bro or a tech babe, right? So to be honest, when my parents were saying, oh, go and study computer science, they were spot on in terms of this is where the world is going to, right? And if you now look at the work that we do in Spatio Ideally and who our client base are, you would see that most of our client base are coming from that tech environment, and it's not coincidental. If you had asked me then when my parents were choosing computer science for me or telling me to do computer science, I'll tell you I didn't know. I just did it just because the right thing to do, as the Bible has said, is to obey your parents, right? But just obeying, right, in its own way, set me on the course to what I'm doing now. Anyway, I studied computer science, worked at Ericsson. And while I was at Ericsson, even though I really wanted to work at Ericsson, it's been like, I remember in school, if you're working at Ericsson, then in computer science, you're like, big girl or big boy, right? The best students in the set before were all working at Ericsson. So Ericsson was like the place you wanted to fight to go to. And I got there and I didn't like it for some reason. You know, when you fight for something and you get there and you're like, this is not what I imagined, this is not what I dreamed, but you're there, so you move on. And during that ordeal, I decided to tell myself, okay, what else do I want to do? And I'm like, oh, I actually do want to do interior design. I've always wanted to do architecture anyway. That's what I wanted to do. My parents thought computer science was best for me. So I told myself, okay, if I'm not happy at what I'm doing now, the next best thing to do is take control, because there's one thing we have as humans, and it's choice, and it's the ability to make a decision, right? And obviously when you make a decision, you go with the consequences. So I sat down, did my pros and cons, and like, okay, if I want to shift to interior design, which I think I would like, or into the built environment, because I was thinking architecture, what do I need to do? And I thought, I can't go back and go and study architecture now. That's 5 years. I'm getting old, right? I can't study architecture at this point. What's the next best thing to do? The next best thing to do is interior design, which is closely related. That takes a shorter time to learn in terms of study. And I can go into that since I think I have a passion for it. Now, let's be clear, I use the word I think I have a passion for it, right? It was my best subject, but you can have a passion for something, but you might not like the work of it. And there are two things. And I've seen a lot of people who like something from afar. Oh, I like this, but you see the work that needs to be done to get that thing done, and then you don't like it anymore. So I was like, okay, I think I like it. So let me try, right? And one thing I remember that helped me make a decision to transition from computer science, that's working in tech, to moving to interior is I asked myself, and I think it's a question we should all ask ourselves, right? When we get to difficult crossroads, it will help your decision making faster. If I die today, right? Um, what do I want to be remembered for? Would I be happy with the choices I made if I die today? And um, with that question helped me make a decision to move, even though, to be honest, I was at Ericsson, the job was great, let's be honest. It wasn't what I expected, so it was different from my expectation, but the job was great. It paid fantastically well. Nobody understood the decision I was making when I decided to move, when I decided to leave Ericsson to go study interior design. Nobody understood it. Not when you're making that amount of money as a fresh graduate. What are you thinking, right? With a very good career path, because working in organizations like that, they give you a career path, so you know where you're going to be in the next 6 years. Actually, next 10 years, you already know this is my path in the next 10 years. But I asked myself that question, and the answer was I would like to take a chance to see if I can actually do this. And I did my pros and cons, right? So you don't take decisions. Another thing I hope you learn is you don't take decisions blindly, right? Is it the right thing to do? Can I still do it now? I'll be honest. The only reason why I was able to take that decision was, one, I was able to save for it. Two, I was young enough to make that decision, because I told myself, okay, if I go study interior design now and I don't like it, can I come back and look for work? Because that's going to be a gap here in my CV. And I'm like, yes, I'm young enough. The worst case is I'll find job at a bank. So I did my pros and cons well, and decided to go study interior design in Italy. And when I was done, came back, worked for a few organizations, um, and then after a while, few months down the line, and to be honest, studying interior design was not easy. So I'll say that it was not easy. It was not what I expected. I remember my first week in Italy, I was ready to pack my bags and come back home, because I'm like, this is not for me. Like, I know I said I wanted to study, but when you enter a class, you're like, I'm very smart, I can do, when you go to see, they'll give you all those I can do, you can aspire to perspire. And then you get there, and in your class, you have 5 years MSc architecture. 5 years, you be like, I'm in a room filled with architects, right? They're already coming with this level of knowledge and skill, and they know how to use these tools. And I'm like, I'm not even sure how I even entered the first. But you now have imposter syndrome. That's the word. You're like, why did they even select me for this course? Like, there's a gap, right? But like I said, God knows what He's doing. And then anyway, it wasn't easy, right? So I had to put in the work to make sure I did meet the level where my classmates were, which was a lot of work, and then hopefully surpass where they were. But that's that in terms of studying interior design. And the reason why I said to study, which I would like to point out before just transitioning from computer science to interior design, is because I personally believe whatever is worth doing well. I don't believe anyone should take a task without thinking or without having the knowledge of doing that task, even if that knowledge is researching, whether you're doing a YouTube course, right? It shows excellence in knowing what it is you're preferring, in terms of knowing what it is you're giving other people. You can't call yourself an expert if you haven't even gone through the path of understanding what it requires to deliver that thing. So I would like to point that out, right? For those who are design enthusiasts, my advice is learn, whether you're learning online or going to a school, whether it's a short course, whatever it is, learn and learn it deeply, right? So that you have credibility in what you do, or in the service or the value you give out. Anyway, um, got back and worked for a few organizations. For some reason, I wasn't satisfied enough, and then I decided to start Spatio Ideali. And Spatio Ideali, the name is a tribute to where I actually did study interior design, because Spatio Ideali is Italian. It's Italian for ideal space. But yes, I started Spatio Ideali, and now, just to talk about Spatio Ideali. Spatio Ideali is a team of young, energetic, and bright professionals. Some of them are on this call. They are, to be honest, the best people ever, right? The best team. So everything you see, if you go to our website or our Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn, all the work you see, which brings me to It Takes a Village, right, is by a team of really young people. Some are architects, some are civil engineers, some are building building engineers or did building tech in school. But it's a team of people who have passion for design, right? And they've put in all that work into what you see. And you'll see some of the works that we've done, some of our clients. It is in terms of Spatio Ideali, like I said, I started Spatio Ideali with, to be clear. So before I go here, let me just mention a few things. So in going to design school, right? I'll put this in passing, but it helps put the dots together, right? When you're connecting it backwards. Going to design school, I lost my father in my final year. And you wonder why things like this happen. Why do bad things happen? Or why do things happen? But like I said, when you look back, you might not understand why something is happening at this point. When you look back, you can connect the dots. The only reason why I could ask myself the question is that if I die today, am I going to be happy with what I have achieved? It's because I've experienced death, in terms of having to lose someone that you really love and is close to you. And in that experience, it helped shape my decision making, right? But that experience didn't come with its own challenges, where I had just a mother. I still have a brother who had just entered university, and she had to pay his way through school. So typically in deciding to go study interior design, I had to prove, at least to my mother, that I was making the right decision, because you can't just leave a well-paying job and just go. So I had to actually save. That's because I was working, right? Save enough to be able to go study interior design in Italy. And when I was done, all I had left, when I was done with interior design and I was done working, because you do interior design, you come back, I worked, right? But even with all of the work that I did, all I had left was $120, and was with that. And $100 out of the $120, so that it's clear, came as a gift from someone I met in my previous workplace. So I think it was one of the reading pastors. He came to the store where I was working as an interior designer, liked it. He's Nigerian. I was working in Ghana then. Came with his wife. I helped him with some of the things they needed to get for their apartment. And when I got back to Lagos, I was like, I'm looking for a job. Let me go and say hello. So I bossed his PA, and I went to say hello, like, okay, oh, I'm no longer in Ghana, oh, I'm back in Lagos, so is there any work that we can do, right? And it was just a courtesy call, and I was like, oh, thank you for coming by to say hello. And they'll give me a seed money and prayed, and I left, right? And literally, I started the business with just that $120. Anyway, so Sparty Day started with $120, and that was in 2012. And now we gross over $1 million in revenue, and we're a bootstrapped company. As a vision, we have a vision to be the leading interior design firm in Africa. In short, we call that to be like Gensler within the team. And our mission is to improve lives through exceptional design and excellent execution. Anyway, like I said, it takes a village. So everything you're seeing from, by the way, from the slides that I'm presenting to whatever it is you see outside, it's done by, like I said, a team of amazing people in Sparte DLE. We do, like I said, you already know, we do interior design, and our VP is creative design, experiential space, excellent delivery, etc. And this is what we offer. We are in 3 locations at the moment, Nigeria, SA, and UAE. And the team does jobs all over. In case you are not aware, we do have a wide variety of clients, from Paystar, Coda. Some of them were mentioned during the intro. Branch, EY. The pictures of EY isn't out for Ernst & Young. That's one of the big 4 auditing firms. 4 Point Betteratin, which is hospitality, etc. Anyway, this is our clientele. Like I said, I started Sparty yearly with $120, and we've been able to grow. But that growth is not, it's not just one person, right? It's support, right? The team that is doing what they have to do to make sure that we deliver excellence to our client every time. My spouse, who has been of great support, shout out Jide if you're here, who has been of great support in terms of shaping how we grow at Spati ideally, right? Family and everyone, when you start with $120, trust me, you have nothing, right? My friends who were understanding when they're like, oh, let's go party, and there's nothing, I can't, so I'm declining, sorry, I'll gladly decline, because I'm not earning a salary anymore, right? And those people who are understanding enough to understand that these are growth pains, and it's a path that you have to follow. Anyway, so started Spatio ideally, and we've grown over time, and it's not an easy journey. We are still growing, we are still learning, and life is all about learning. So I guess that's it. So I'll stop sharing for now. I have a few things. I know I got a few questions from the team at Just Design, but I'll stop sharing and then see if there are any questions, and then answer the questions I did get from the team at Just Design.
Thank you, Tomi. It's really good to have you. Thank you for your. Well, I know a bit about the journey. I led the questions in a role experience I had with you, that about what you could do. I recall being introduced to you by I think College Ginodu was.
Yes.
I think one of your class, and then said, okay, there's this lady in Dubai, and then we gave you a job university, and I recall when I was on site, and I recall that on site, I mean, it was fascinating to see that then you were a spinster here. As a guy, I could, beautiful looking lady on the side. How much is the gym? What you are saying today, ideally, right? Okay, that your gross. I think I'm not surprised. I mean, maybe 2015. I think about that time, 2016, and that was about 6-7 years ago. What you put in as a CEO, as a lead, for me, it was amazing. You say that as designers, people need designers need to be 10. You are still maybe more like a one-man team, one person, maybe just two or me. I think that part of, I'm glad to tell the world, even though you didn't tell the world that you're a very international young lady, and I think uh, really pick up from there. So I think for you, Gideon was asked to spell the name Spazio. Name Spazio Ideally.
Okay, so I think I just saw what inspired the name Spati Diali. Yes. So I think I mentioned that. I mentioned that earlier. Sorry, I was just going through the comments and I saw one of my mentors right here, Pastor Boye, saying that he's expecting in Naira cash and anti-GT. I'm sorry, I know nothing about that, right? But it's great to have you here. Spatidiali was, like I said, it means ideal space in Italian, and it was inspired as a tribute to where I did study interior design, which is Italy. And I think that's it. It just means ideal space. Um, and yes, I think so. I'm a perfectionist, so I think spaces should be perfect. And perfect doesn't mean that there is one perfect space, but perfect to fit whatever objective you're trying to, the space is meant to achieve, right? So there are perfect spaces for objective. If there is an objective, there is the perfect space for it, the ideal space. And ideal is a synonym of perfect. So yes, it just means perfect space, ideal space, but in Italian, which is where I studied. Thank you. Um, okay, so I think they said Dr. Alalade is breaking. I don't know if there are any questions. So if there are, please send them in. If not, I'll just go to the questions that I think I got from the team earlier, and I'll just answer them. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and I'll need to share my screen again. I'll do that and then go ahead to okay, I have a question here from Marcel, which is how do you get such big clients? Hi Marcel, were you knocking on doors? Okay, that's interesting. In a way, yes. Yes. Initially when you do start a business, your first client will be anyone you can get, literally any possible project. Because people work with people that they know, they trust, right? People they know, they like, and they trust. So those three elements. So the first thing, people need to know you, right? And people now need to like you, and then people now need to trust you. The trust part is usually very difficult for new businesses, and that's because there is no credibility. You haven't done this before, so why should I give you the job? So the best way for you to build credibility is to show you've done it before, and the best way to show you've done it before is by just doing anything that can show that you can do it. And that includes if you're whether the job is for someone within your family or a friend, even if you have to do it for free, do it for free. But as long as you keep on showing credibility, so you do it for the first time for someone for free, or the person just paying you transport fare and feeding, but you build credibility over time. That credibility would earn referrals, and those referrals would grow big. And that's how we started at Party Ideally. So I remember my very first job. Um, literally was done for free. I only got feeding and transport for it, right? So the expertise wasn't paid for. I was just paid feeding and transport, and you literally go from there. So at the start, yes, you have to do anything to build credibility, but as long as you, which is this is also very important, as long as you deliver excellently. I can't overemphasize the need to deliver excellently over and over and over again. As long as you do that, then people will be able to trust your brand. And then there is the knowing part, which is talking about what you do, marketing. I suppose that we're still not that good at that, but there is the knowing part, and then there's the liking part. But I think trust is most important. So yes, I hope um, that answers your question, Marcel. Dewell says, "What keeps you going?" That is interesting. That's a difficult question. That is a very difficult question. Um, but yes, what keeps me going? Hmm. It's a combination of things, so it's not one thing. Um, if we're being honest, it's not one thing that would keep you going. So it's going to be a combination of things. One, the first thing obviously is you need to like what you do, right? So you need to at at the granular level enjoy it. So even if when things are rough, or even when whatever it is you're doing crashes, right? Because you love what you do, you probably find a way to do it again somewhere else, or someplace else, right? So one thing is love what you do, so that even when things are bad, even when you're burnt out, even when you're tired, right? Or even when it feels heavy, when you do get refreshed, you want to go back to doing that. That's one. Two is have a vision, but visions become very difficult to achieve if you don't love what you do. So I started with loving what you do. Have a vision. So when you do have a vision that this is what I want to achieve, right? Even when going gets tough, you pull through. So you won't be 100% every day. You won't be like I'm 100% every day. But even if you're 10% today, you're moving forward towards that vision. If you're 70% moving forward to that vision, so it's a combination of different things. For me, those two things. Thirdly, will be support. You cannot overemphasize the need for support, right? Support from your team who are cheering you on, right? And like, we can do this, right? Because when things get rough within the organization, you really need to have a team that is saying, we can do this and we will do this with you for you to move forward. If your team is not behind you, you're not going anywhere, literally. So support from the team, support from family, because it would also take a toll in terms of your family, your spouse, your mom, everyone, right? Support from everyone that helps keep you going. So yes, I hope that answers your question. You know, um, how did I build an amazing team? So once again, shout out to Team Spazio if you're here. Hoop hoop, you guys are amazing. Like Team Spazio, wherever you are, shout out to you guys. You guys keep it real, right? Best team to work with, if you ask me, like the best team. Um, how do you build an amazing team? It's a combination of so there is never one answer to one thing. It's usually a combination of different things, if you ask me. um the first thing for me will be find people who believe in the vision. So as a founder, as a CEO, you have what it is you want to achieve, right? You want to, this is the vision you have for whatever you've set up, the organization you've set up, right? You have to have people who believe in that vision. They might not understand it 100%, but they believe in it and they believe that they have a place in achieving that vision, right? I think that's the first thing. When you have people who do believe in the vision, cherish them for believing in the vision, because there's one thing for people don't stay because of what you pay them. You can't pay someone enough for what they bring or for them sticking with you. You can't pay that. So understand that and cherish it. And let them know when when they do, like let them know as often as possible, right? And then I think you should, one thing I think is important that a lot of leaders, especially in Nigeria, ignore is, as a leader, you're growing, your team needs to grow with you. If your team feels that they are growing with you, they would stay longer. People leave when they feel they are not welcome, or when they feel they are not adding value, or when they feel that they are not growing. So I think leaders need to emphasize and help people grow. So it's something I think my pastor has said once, although he said it in the line of church, but I think it applies to business also, which is, um, the people who work in your organization aren't there to serve you. You're literally there to serve them. It's almost the same principle as Jesus has said. If you create an organization to help people, so the organization is helping people grow and helping people find their purpose, or in whatever little way, and you're intentional about it, you would help build, as in the team would grow, because people don't come in with all the knowledge. You didn't Nobody starts in a business with all the knowledge. I don't even have all the knowledge to take us to the next level. If not, we'll be there now. So if I'm helping myself grow and I have people in my team and they don't have that knowledge, I think it's right for you to help them also grow. As you grow, you help them grow. And as you guys are growing together, you build an amazing team together. That's what I think. Um, I think the next question is for maybe Gideon Wise. What would I say is my design philosophy? This is interesting because I did get this question from the team at Just Design. And they asked me what makes a good design, actually. Not what my design philosophy is. But I answered the question as my design philosophy. And it's simple. I say this every time with Spazio, and my design philosophy is, design is problem solving. It's as simple as that. Design is problem solving. There is no need doing design if it doesn't solve a problem. Even if the problem is an aesthetic need. So you have people who, they don't have any problem anymore, right? Maybe like the sheikhs, the Saudis, all their problems have been solved, right? So the problem they now have is boredom. And because of that boredom, they want a design that will just blow their mind. So the design doesn't have to be functional, even though the design might not be quote unquote functional, but it's solving a problem. So design is problem solving. Whatever it is you do as a designer, you're solving someone's problem, right? And understand what that problem is. What is the objective of this design? Even though, like, I'll give an example, there are few things that have been designed that, when you think about it, in terms of functionality, they are useless, right? An example is the orange juicer by Philip Stark, for example. um, but even that product, right, in itself, right, has a use because it helps people think outside the box, right? So understanding that the purpose of design is to solve a problem, whether the problem is boredom, or the problem is a functional problem, or the problem is your client's problem. Design is to solve a problem. So find out what that problem is and then solve it. That's my design philosophy. I don't know if there are any other questions. Let me see. Can you give an example of an instance you experienced a setback in your business and how you're able to? This is a really long question. Wow. So now an example of an instance. There are setbacks. I'm trying to think which setback to mention because there are so many. So which one? I'm trying to think and ranking. I'm trying to think about it and trying to rank it in the order of intensity. Let me see. Setback in my business. Team Spas, you help. Just throw an example. Because if you're in the works too, so you cannot actually answer these questions that they're throwing at me. But let me see. So I won't give an example because that might be difficult for me to give because there are so many. But I think I would work with the principle. One thing that I think I've been learning personally over time is the principle behind it. So setback is normal, right? In life, not in business. Business is just one part of it. In life, you would get to places where you would have setbacks, right? So setback is expected. Being able to overcome it, on the other hand, is difficult because sometimes it can be overwhelming in terms of whatever challenge you face. Let me put it as this. It was something that caught to me while I was preparing for this talk, which is I'm here telling my story, telling you how I've been able to navigate, right? And the point of that entire conversation is while I was in those places, while I was working at Ericsson, for example, I wasn't thinking, oh, I was going to build Spartadia and it's going to be $1 million company in revenue, blah, 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 right? I wasn't thinking about that. When my parent told me to study computer science, I wasn't thinking, or I wasn't thinking, or I didn't know that at the end of the day, that studying in computer science would give me access to the network within the tech industry and would help me build a niche within the tech industry in terms of interior design. I didn't know that, right? It is now I can now see, oh, this is why my path has led me to this point, right? See, when you face a setback, you might not see why you're facing the setback, right? You won't know. You can't connect the dots until maybe 10, 15 years after that, right? However, I'm telling my story now. Every single person on this call or in this meeting or whoever will watch this has a story to tell. Every day we wake up, we write a chapter or a page of that story. We all do, right? And in that story, what makes a good story, if you understand how storytelling works, right? Whether it's Avengers or I don't know, Akia Popo, whatever it is, there is always the journey. And in that journey, there's something they call the hero's abyss, where the hero either falls down, is the hero gets to a point where the hero doesn't seem like they are going to make it, and after that they overcome whatever that abyss is, and then they move their journey, and then the story becomes better. That's literally everyone's story, every single person on this call. So everyone has a story that they can tell like that. Now the question is, when you get to that hero's abyss, how do you overcome it? So it's the principle, right? Knowing that it's just life, right? And the question I ask myself, especially in business, is how do I make sure that this doesn't happen again if there is a setback? Why is the setback happening? what is the reason for this particular issue, if I can understand it, maybe even after whatever that setback is. So for example, I think last year we were overwhelmed, right, in terms of the amount of jobs we had to do. The entire team this time last year, the entire team was, everybody felt like we're carrying 100 kg boulder on their back, right? And that was February. And in March, all the projects we're working on just went silent because everybody was trying to keep money because the economy was becoming one kind. So we're overwhelmed in February, and in March it was cricket silent. Every client we're working for was like, we are postponing our projects, we are postponing our projects, we are postponing our projects. Now we started looking like, Jesus, what's going to happen, right? And in cases like that, you now wonder, what could you have done differently? So the point is, what can I do differently when I'm in this point that is difficult? What if I'm in this point again, right? What should I do differently? How do I plan differently, right? I hope that helps in terms of what you do, or how you overcome setbacks. It's part of life, so I think everybody should just look at it as part of their story. Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. I think, thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I think there's still a as we wrap up this session from for asking what projects are you most, which was most difficult. While Tomi answers, that kindly let's take our feed form. Let's have your feedback using the link section. Just we'll be glad to have your feedback. The floor is for you.
Okay, so I'll just answer this last question, and while I'm answering the question, I will just show some of the works we've done at Spazio, which I haven't shown, while I do that, so that you guys can see the work, so that my team can be proud of the work you've done over time. But yes, what project am I most proud of, and what one was most difficult to pull off? None. I won't say I'm proud of every single project we've done at Spazio. From CUDA to 4 Points, every project comes with its own challenge, and every challenge is different. So I don't have a particular. I've been asked this question multiple times. I don't have a particular favorite project. I think my favorite project would be a project that gives us the design where there are no constraints. For every design, there's always constraints, especially when it comes to cash. A project that just says, take this money, just do what it is you want to do, design, that would be a good project. But until we get that kind of project, I don't have a favorite yet. Most difficult to pull, like I said, every project comes with its own challenges. So in every project, you'd see something difficult that challenges you, and you just learn from it. So I don't have any most difficult project. Yeah. So that's my answer.
Thank you
Great.
very much. Thank you. Please, once again, we'll be glad by just clicking on the comment section. We'll like we're doing. We'd like to get your feedback better the next time. To me, I think you're inspiring one. Just including myself, and I want to say short notice. I think about 2 weeks, and thank you for making sure you were here, checking up on the team before the webinar began. I want to say thank participants. I want to say thank you. Time is just 1 hour. So this is 1 hour 5 minutes. I want to say thank you. The next webinar will be March 18th, the third Saturday month. So we want to keep it very, very stable. third p.m. every month. So the next one things, and interestingly, we'll be having I think the first are all males, and I think we go. Hey, are you saying? Oh, so we want to take a pause. So the next one also will be. We hope that we keep it that way and have the sessions, and also possibly hope to have a exhibition with persons lecture or MSc in interior. Their taste is for like 5 minutes. I'm sure that that would also help to learn hands on, get their designs. I mean, you can see it, Tomi, and that's why may start roughly friends, but you can see that are now the tech. The 4 years you spent was not a waste, really. If you have done architecture for 4 years, and maybe and so really because tech industry because of our training. So I think for us today, you have become the epic journey. Why? You simply spoke. You've been on a journey from to interior design. What we want to see, and you are navigating of tech design, which anyway. But of course, you have in you all the while, and so very much to me. We are glad to have you. Well done, and to just design. Thank you to Abraham. Thank you to all the guys in the studio, and to all of you. Very much, and we hope to thank you and God bless you, Tomi.
Thank you for having me. And have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much.